Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 2 of Let's Build a Telephone System using Laravel and Twilio. So last episode all we really did was get the template set up, which I took off CodePen, and I did link it in the description I believe, but if not I will link this CodePen that we've stole it from in the description of this video as well. We set up Twilio in general, we set up ngrok, and we also just got everything installed into our application and in our layout. This episode, what we're going to do is start building in Twilio with the backend system, mainly getting an access token and initializing the Twilio client on the front end. I've already gone ahead and started up my ngrok forwarding to my local host. However, I don't think we're going to be needing this episode, but if I do progress quite fast, then we'll need this ngrok URL as well. So let's dive right in. So I've updated my Twilio URL as well to the new ngrok URL, but we haven't even set up the API side yet, so that's probably moving too fast. So what we want to do when we load this page is get an access token for our telephone system. So let's get that first. We're going to set up a script tag here, and we want to, let's say, set up Twilio device. So then what we want to do, or initialize, set up Twilio device, get Twilio access token, set up Twilio device. So those are the two steps we need to do initially. So first we'll do get Twilio access token, and then what we will do is create that function. Access token. And all we really need to do, and we'll console log just so we can see something happening, is so let's just give our application a refresh to make sure it's getting into there, which it is. That's all great news. So then what we need to do is a try and a catch. And let's do get the data from our back access token. So we're going to get the access token now from our backend. Now if we refresh this, it should error. Await is only, so let's make this an async function. And await. Go away. There we go. Fetch.json is not a function. Well, it should be. So it should now be doing access token 404 not found. Right, perfect. That's what we wanted. Don't know why it took me so long to even realize that, but yeah, so it's doing a get request to our backend on this URL. So let's go and set that up first. So telephone system access token for front end. Root get phone access token, and we want to put this to a phone controller. We haven't got one. Right, let's make that controller. Beautiful. Phone controller. Get access token. And let's create that function. And this function is going to take a HTTP request. That one. And if we just DD the request all, just to confirm it is getting there, we've got a 500 error. So it's DDing out and yeah, not returning anything at the minute. So then let's start creating that access token. So the first thing we need to do is get the access token from Twilio via their package. So let's get that. And the access token function on the Twilio package accepts a few parameters: your account SID, your sign-in key SID, which is your API key, your secret, which is the API secret, the timeout, I think that is, time till the token expires, identity, and the region. So all we're going to do now is do that. So we'll pass these in: our Twilio account SID, our Twilio API key, and our Twilio API secret. And on top of that, we're going to set the time at 10 minutes. The identity, I'm just going to do Matthew James with underscores, and the region US 1. So if I DD access token, and let's fire this request again, we've got an access token from Twilio. So the next step, what we need to do is grant it voice permissions. Grant voice permissions. So we do voice grant, and we create a voice grant with the Twilio PHP package again. And then we do voice grant, set outgoing application, no, not application, it's SID, Twilio Twiml app SID. Then we want to grant incoming calls permissions. And then on top of that, we want to add that grant to our access token. Finally, we want to render our token to a JSON web token string. So to do that, we do access token to JWT, and then after all that, we return a response back to the front end, and it's going to be a JSON response and identity Matthew James, and the token is going to be equal to the token. So all we've done here is create an access token with Twilio, setting the identity to Matthew James. That's hard coded. However, in your application, you can make this part dynamic, depending on the authenticated user, for example. Setting the region, the expiry, giving it outgoing voice permissions, and then we're also granting incoming voice and call permissions. We're adding that grant to our access token, rendering it as a JSON web token, and then we're returning it back to the front end. So if we then refresh our page, you can see we're getting a web token and we've got our identity returned. So then what we need to do after this point is handle that response on our front end. So if we go we don't need the layout at the minute. So if we go back to the front end code, at this point we'll have data which will be equal to these two. So then what we need to do is we'll just console log out, drop the Twilio access token, just so we know in the console that we've all given feedback to ourselves that we've got the token, just for debugging purposes. So we want to set the token, and what I'm going to do is set some global variables. Global variables. So token equals data.token. Set the identity. Identity equals data.identity. And then we're going to run another function which will be initialize the device. Initialize device. And the reason I've created these global variables is so that we can access them throughout the JavaScript code further down, which we'll get to, mainly in this initialized device as well. So then we need to create the initialized device function. So let's console log out, initializing Twilio device, and let my formatter do its thing. So to init the device, and we're going to set another global variable here, device, and this device variable is always going to be the Twilio device. And if we set it as a global variable, we're always going to have access to the Twilio device on the front end within the JavaScript code. So we will set device is equal to a new Twilio device. The first parameter is going to be the access token, and the second parameter is an object. We're going to set the log level to 1, which I believe is info or debug. Then we want to set our codec preferences to opus and psmu, and then max call signaling timeout ms. There we go. Let's console register the device. Let's see if we get any errors. So as you can see, these are all from the Twilio SDK file, but it's initialized the device and it's saying stream is ready, WebSocket is open successfully. So here we can console log Twilio device successfully initialized. So this has initialized our Twilio device, and we're ready to then start making outbound calls and also accepting inbound calls if we wanted to. So let's focus on the outbound side of things first. So to do or to do register run. So we want to go back to our code, and we want to add an event listener on this button, which is action dig. Let's just try that. So if we give it a refresh and click that, we get 1. Perfect. We don't want that though to appear, but we can sort that side of it afterwards. Clicked. I don't like how it's the same button, but we'll change that eventually. So action dig. In fact, we can change that now. Action dig. So dig add person. It's .call, isn't it? Yeah, so really, so .call, is it? No. If this has class go back, if this has class call, if subheader has class in call. Right. So change add in call button to div class in call remove any call class dot remove class in call. Never mind, it's already doing it. I'm being stupid there. So it's in call there. It's not actually adding it, or is it? So let's just do this and see if it adds the class in call. Perfect. And it works as we wanted to, but now I can actually check when to end the call as well. So what I was doing there is just modifying the JavaScript from the template that I've stolen off CodePen. So when you click, when we can add an event listener for when the call button has been clicked, but then to end the call, rather than listen on the call button, we can listen on the in call button, or let's say end call class. So we'll add the end call class to it when it's in a call, and then we can add an event listener to listen for when that class has been clicked to then put the call down. So let's minimize this again, and we can register phone listeners, and let's take that to do that. Pointless having that in. So then let's create this function. Event listeners. And let's just double check it gets to that. It does. So then what we can do, well, when the call button has been clicked. So what we want to do when the call button's been clicked is get the phone number. So get the phone number to call. Set the Twilio parameters up. Call the agent, customer, whoever. Register call event listeners. Register hang up button listener. Right, so let's first get the phone number to call. So if I put in a phone number and then inspect that element, hopefully it's an import. It is. I wonder whether it's going to give me the value of it. So input type, let's just say input type text. Var phone number to call equals input name equals text, no, type equals text dot val console dot log phone number to call. And it's always good to console log out stuff to debug. 21, perfect. That is perfect. Right, so we've got the phone number to call. So then let's set the Twilio parameters up. So to do that, what we need to do is set a var params variable, and that's going to be equal to an object. So one parameter we obviously need is 2. And for Twilio, it's capital T on the object key. And that will be equal to phone number to call. Then we want to do agent, and that will be equal to our identity. And the caller ID will be equal to our Twilio phone call number. And then if we wanted to, location US1. That's the US region for Twilio. So let's get the phone number first and foremost. And I would get it from the EMV, but I don't want to show any of my credentials on camera. So we want the +44, and let's do that. So we've got the parameters. Let's just double check the device has been registered at this point, as well as a nice fallback. If device exists, call the fine. And then let's move that inwards. So we're going to create a constant called corn, and that's going to be equal to device, which is the global variable that we've set, which is equal to the Twilio device, device.connect. And we're just going to pass the params within that object. We then need to register our call event listeners for when the call's been accepted, disconnected and cancelled. And then ongoing after that, we also need to register the hang up button listener as well. Let's just give this a go. And what I will do is call my own phone number. So yes, I am exposing my own phone number, which is probably not the best thing to do on a YouTube video, but for testing purposes, let's just give it a go. Let's see if it actually calls me. It did not. Okay. So what we then need to do is go back to our code. Console.log the params. And let's try it again. Let's just do 21. So it didn't get to this point. So why did it not get to this point? Console.log 1. Let's just give it a hard refresh. I could have swore it was getting to there. Oh god, we've got a JavaScript error, that is why. It's something to do with the weight. Make this function. I don't know why that isn't working. Why is that not working? Does that need to be async as well? That is not wanting to work, but that is an async function. Being bloody stupid. Okay, that don't need to be async. Let's go back to our console log. Go, stream is ready. So if I do 21, we've got the parameters, use your microphone, and it's connecting. So if I now, a call is already active, that's because we've not had the disconnect or hang up event listener registered. What I'm going to do is now put my own phone number in again, and we're going to give this a go. So I'm just going to turn my phone off silent and let's give it a go. So 07849726321. It should be establishing a connection and it should be calling me. Ah, I've missed a step. So what we need to do, so if we go into Twilio and go to our monitor and go to our webhooks and alerts, there'll be errors or error logs. 910, it's 1 hour behind, and it's an error 11200 HTTP retrieval failure. So this is where the API call routing comes into place. We haven't actually created the function or the route on our code to handle actually sending or calling out to the phone number that we want to. So that's something that we need to set up next. But I believe this video has probably gone on a little longer than I would like. I did want to keep them between 15 to 20 minutes at the very most, and do more of them frequently as opposed to longer videos. So what I will do is save that for the next episode. So in the next episode, we'll prioritize getting the API URL set up to handle in and outbound calls, which will be the API, not next, it will be the API call routing URL. So we'll get that set up. We'll test again with calling out to my phone, which should work after that point. And then what we'll also do is register our event listeners for the call. So when the user who we're ringing hangs up or disconnects, or then we'll also register the hang up event listener on the button so that when we click the button, it also disconnects the call. So we'll do that in the next episode, and we'll also have a look at updating the UI potentially if we get time as well. What I mean by that is when we click call, we don't necessarily, when it should do it in a minute, we don't want this timer to pop up and this user symbol to have that active state as such until the person we're calling has actually accepted the call. So we'll make that change as well. And one quick change I do want to do is we want to hide the dial pad when we're on a call, because you can't really see the buttons, and eventually we might want to have the mute button, or we might want to bring that keypad back up as well, in which case if we bring the keypad back up, it would probably need a Z index of, I don't know, we want it to have a Z index really, and we want it to be above this. Wonder if I can quickly. Yeah, I'll sort it in the off camera potentially and show you. But what I can quickly do is just hide that dial pad when we are in a call. So we'll get the dial pad class, and it's when we're in a call. So let's go back to our code up here. I've minimized it. So where we added remove in call class, so that's when we're in a call and we're ending the call. So hide dial pad initially, and if we refresh and then give it a call, bam, right, that's pretty much what I wanted. And maybe then show the keypad afterwards if you do click the keypad button. And then speaker button we don't really need because it's going to be browser based, so we can probably remove that, to be honest. Let's get rid of that speaker button altogether. So yeah, let's get rid of that. Face to face could be video, and chat could be actually SMSing. So that is actually possible doing that through Twilio, but that's probably way far in the future. Add contacts, so we'd want to create a conference call, and then keypad just to dial in anything as well. So yeah, we'll focus on actually getting the call connected in the next episode, as I've mentioned multiple times. You know, I do like to repeat myself a lot. And then we'll also register the event listeners, and hopefully that brings us to the end of episode 3, where we can start seeing it come together and make basic outgoing phone calls. And then from there we'll expand on it, and we'll probably look at taking inbound phone calls as well. And when we do inbound phone calls, we'll again want to update the UI, which it isn't technically catering for inbound phone calls, but I'm sure we could probably put some quick fixes in just for demonstration purposes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help me out, and I really appreciate every subscription. And also please leave comment for feedback, because I'm always looking to improve my videos. I'm always looking to keep them nice, short and concise as best as I can for you guys, and just constantly want to improve them for you and for your learning as well, really. So yeah, thank you for watching.